Oh, and we're back at the UK Open 2 for round 7. It has been a long day so far, and we still have a lot to go. We're nearly at 9 PM here, and yeah, 2 more rounds after this. So, we actually have table 1 for you for this round. And in the previous round, we said that we didn't think that the Pendulum Magicians were doing any kind of well in the tournament at the moment. But to prove us wrong, we actually have a XO Pendulum Magician on table 1.
We see Lukas Prinz undefeated here, playing his Pendulum Magicians, and he'll be up against Tim Cox, a finalist from YCS London, playing SPYRAL. It does appear that Tim's playing a very different deck list to what we've seen before, with Destrudo and DD Crow and Spiral Gear Utility Wire. Looks like a build that's set up for going first. So, not what we've been seeing for the rest of the day, but it's served him well so far.
So we will definitely we may be able to see just a little bit of a different play around with it. Oh, most of the combos will obviously be the same, just because that's the way that SPYRAL work. Now, without further ado, let's jump on over to the table and have a look at the plays. And here we are. Now they're getting ready. I believe we have the hands loaded in. Let's see.
So Lukas is going to be playing first.
What's he got in his hand there?
Plays a Double Iris Magician into scale and activates Duelist Alliance to search for a Star Pendulum Graph. Of course, Star Pendulum Graph just keeps the resources flowing every time a Pendulum card leaves the field. Opened very explosively here with the Wavering Eyes. Will trigger the effect on his Double Iris and get a search from the Star Pendulum Graph as well. So Tim sat across from the table with no hand traps. Now staring down a very difficult board.
Most definitely. Well, it is going first, SPYRAL going second.
So you see 3 searches coming off all at once there from those initial investments. And a little bit of life point damage to Tim. And the Joker hits the board, searching either for another scale or possibly for the Pendulum Sorcerer if he already has the scales in hand that he needs. We'll stop to consider the Wisdom Eye. Activate Oath Dragon and Wisdom Eye. We'll be able to use the Wisdom Eye effect here to get another scale if he so chooses. Or just go straight for a Pendulum Summon. I think he has the Harmonizing Magician in his hand, so he'll be able to Pendulum Summon that as well. To special summon from the deck. Going straight for the Pendulum Summon by the looks of things. Double Iris comes out, Harmonizing comes out, Harmonizing effect will trigger. Often summon for Purple Poison, which we see here.
Oh, and that's a Link, I believe.
Yep.
Oh no, Synchro.
Synchro for the Omega, because it will take itself out from the extra monster zone, allowing him to consolidate his other 2 monsters into MCs.
And he hit the reinforcement for the army. Now, I do believe that there's not actually much in Tim's hand there. Let's have a look and see what was in there. He had a last resort, the reinforcements, a 1-for-1, a SPYRAL Big Red, I think that is.
Oh,
maybe?
Tim's hand's great. Tim's got
he's got the resort, yeah.
1-for-1 and Big Red,
yeah.
and a resort.
Did not see the last 3 cards in his hand there.
Yeah. Tim's set up very well, but he will have to play through the Time Pendulum Graph that was searched earlier this turn by Double Iris Magician. And the Time Pendulum Graph also putting itself in a position to be able to trigger the Star Pendulum Graph and continue to accrue resources. Typically, Star Pendulum Graph is a card that you might need to instantly flip on the resort to be able to shut down the search. But Lukas here knows that he'll be able to hold on a little bit longer, because if later in the turn he chooses to take out another card with it, it would have to be not a Spiral, but he can destroy his own Purple Poison alongside the resort, and be able to get rid of both that and a monster in one go.
It's a quick fix.
Lukas sat at no cards left in hand at this point. Does appear that way. No effect from the quick fix because of Guska.
Big red.
At this point, Lukas will be considering, is this the time that I need to launch in with my current Pendulum Graph? But he lets it go. And straight into the double helix, and the effective master plan will trigger.
It's a really unusual play, going into double helix.
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of that one today.
Not at all, no. It's really surprising. First time on the stream today, I think.
Not quite sure what that card does. But I don't think that we have yet seen the top card of Lukas's deck being revealed.
No, we haven't. Is that Time Pendulum Graph?
Yeah, that was the Time Pendulum Graph being flipped to take out the Spiral Resort, and the Purple Poison, when destroyed, takes out the double helix before its effect can activate.
Perfect.
At this point, Tim may be looking to see if he can find a way to get that double helix back onto the board.
Which I believe he does. Yeah.
Hasn't yet normal summoned, so he might just summon another. I think he had a last resort in his hand.
He does.
Normal summon, changes instantly to defense, but gets his way into another double helix. Lo and behold, it's still a monster card on the top.
Yeah, it didn't change.
Tim's out with a double summon and one other card in hand. You do of course have to remember that the board state isn't exactly as it appears here, because there is a Omega that is going to be returning along with Tim's reinforcement of the army to start the next turn. So you'll see the Decode Talker being summoned here to beat over that Raguska.
Oh dear, I believe that there was a double sleeve going on there.
Tim's being asked to remove the extra sleeve from his extra deck cards from victory. Has the sleeper here, banishing 3 Spiral cards. But the last resort had to be used earlier in the turn as a material for his second double helix, so won't be instantly available to re-equip. Activates the effective drone in the grave to get back a Super Agent. Double summon to additionally normal summon second Super Agent, just to give himself some more fuel for the Spiral Sleeper.
No, double summon is the card that you look for to see whether basically if it's going first or going second Spiral. That and a lack of hand traps, obviously. I mean, although there is
going fast builds don't always play double summon, given the options with Foolish Burial Goods, which we also see in Tim's deck. He's playing triple Foolish Burial Goods and 2 double summons, so he really is aiming to absolutely turbo out everything he can turn 1. As we talked about before, the Omega returning to the field here And sleeper effect taking out both it and the Star Pendulum Graph. Lukas is in a really tough spot here. I think he has 2 cards in his hand.
It doesn't look that way yet.
And there was an Ash Blossom on the top of his deck, so I have a feeling that may have been one of them. Recycling his Omega to put back the Babushka. He has 3 cards. Yes, he added back a Wisdom Eye Magician with the effect of Oath Dragon last time.
Ah, yes.
So he can cycle through his scales here, choose some new ones, puts out another Oath Dragon, so he'll be able to get a monster to hand, allowing him to Pendulum summon 3 cards in total.
I like that we got to, just a random side note, Magician Pendulums in Master Rule 4 basically just completely adapted around it. Even though it basically took out a big portion of how their deck actually physically worked.
Well, here the Pendulum player is going to gain some significant ground from the presence of the Decode Talker on the field, allowing him an extra summon from the extra deck. See Lukas just choosing what he wants to summon here. Still appears to be choosing what to summon. Need to make a decision soon or he risks getting a slow play warning for this summon. I think that might be the White Wing Magician.
It could very well be.
I'm not entirely familiar with the artwork on all of the Pendulum Magicians, but I believe that one's the tuner. White Wing Magician and one of the others for the Omega. I believe the White Wing should be banished at that point. It's used for a Synchro Summon. And that is one of the new rare Synchro monsters that destroys all opponents' monsters when it's summoned. Crystal Wing Fast Dragon or something?
Something like that. Crystal for a moment.
Clear Wing something dragon. Looks like Tim has seen enough. Players reaching for their side decks.
So, Lukas taking game 1 there.
Players will be going to their side decks at this point. Let's see what's likely to be coming in. We'll see that Tim is side decking Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries, presumably. Oh, sorry, no. Tim wouldn't be siding in Ghost Reaper at this point, but Lukas is siding the Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries. Maybe coming in as he is extra decking a SPYRAL Double Helix. And 3 copies of Full Force Virus in the side deck for the Pendulum player here.
Yes, we were talking about that earlier. It's basically a
Okay.
Card Crush Virus, but for anything with a defense of 1500 or less.
Okay, but rather than tributing a monster with 1,000 or less attack, this one is 2,000 or more defense.
I believe it is.
And this would be the Crush card pre-errata rather than the
Yeah, not the new version.
So yeah, as we've seen with virus cards before, like Eradicator, locking out the draws for the next 3 turns and taking out any monsters that get seen that meet the conditions.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. Basically means that you're gaining 3 turns where you can do whatever you want, and you're getting perfect information as well.
Yeah, the information advantage, particularly at the higher tables like this, will really come in very important. So we see the dragon that got summoned at the end was the Supreme King Dragon Clearwing. The synchro monster that Lukas summoned with Raigeki tied onto its summoning. Always a pretty good way to print a card. Just add Raigeki in there.
Yeah. Guys, we need to make this. We need to make this new card. Like, we want people to want it. What do we need it to do? Raigeki when you summon it. Okay.
See, it's not the typical thing. Usually we just see cannot be targeted.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of that
which is kind of awesome as well. I mean,
yeah, very oppressive, particularly in a game full of interaction in the opponent's turn, a lot of which relies on targeting effects.
Yes. Our hands have been loaded in.
Okay, let's see what we have to work with.
First,
as is to be expected, we saw Tim playing a build designed for playing first.
that's a double summon, Foolish Burial.
Foolish Burial goods as well, and a resort, and a Spiral Gear utility wire. And his opponent here has opened with both Ash and Ghost Reaper. So we see the setup coming down for the double helix, but it's not going to help a great deal when he has no double helixes left.
And so the double helix are gone.
Just as we were talking before about the power of information, Lukas takes the time to look through the rest of the extra deck after banishing the double helixes. That is, of course, the full effect of Ghost Reaper is that you do get to look at the extra deck, even if you banish all 3 copies of the card.
So the top 3 cards of Lucas's deck are Time Pendulum Graph, Lava Golem, and
Wisdom Eye Magician.
yes.
See the master plan coming out here, and this is where the ball really gets rolling. Despite not having access to the double helix, we still see master plan hitting the board, getting those advantage. It's almost as if the double helix wasn't really needed. Sure, it would have helped, but the cards are flowing already. Now we haven't yet seen the Ash Blossom coming down, but we'll see it here, negating the Master Plan effect as it hits the graveyard. Leaving Tim with 2 cards to set. Unfortunately, that utility wire he's set won't be much use to him, as he needs to control a Super Agent to be able to use it. And with his double helixes banished, he has limited access. So, Lukas has effectively stopped Spiral on the first turn, but does he have the means to build his own board and push through what is admittedly a fairly poor setup, but something to be beaten over?
Okay, so here comes what was banished. Just waiting for it to load up here. So
he draws into 2 Pendulum cards there. I think one of them was a purple poison, and I can't quite make out the other. But he certainly has enough Pendulum cards to make a scale and start putting some plays on the board. Looks like there might be a Harmonizing Magician in hand as well. with Oath and Harmonizing being the scales, with 2 purple poisons being summoned.
Oh, jeez.
And Lukas here deciding whether he wants to consolidate into an extra deck monster. Perhaps to put it in front of the I wasn't aware that Gaia Saber had an arrow pointing forward, but it looks like that's where he's attempting to make a Seas monster here.
Let's find out.
So Decode we know points up, so has been relevant all day. I was under the impression that Gaia Saber was left, right and down.
I also believe that is the case. Machine Link. And it is left, right, down.
Okay, yeah, no, the cards have now been moved to the extra monster zone.
It's because they knew we were talking about it.
Being asked on the Twitch chat, do you believe that people play worse when they're on stream?
To be honest with you, 100% yes. But one of the major things you get with that is some people thrive under the pressure. Some people really do, and they enjoy being in that environment. But a lot of people kind of, it's not necessarily in this area because our stream area is just a table in the room. It's not necessarily a big thing like what you get at YCS. But with all of those studio lights bearing down on you, then just the 4 people that would be stood around you as well, it gets very, very kind of claustrophobic even in a large room.
Yeah. Now you say some people thrive under the pressure. I personally feel like it might seem that way, but the actual fact is that some people play a lot worse on the stream and some people aren't as affected. So
yeah.
It may seem like they're thriving, but in actual fact they're just less affected than their opponents.
Yeah, definitely.
So we saw Tim's set utility wire doing nothing without a Spiral Super Agent, and I think the other might be even so little as a double summon or similar. Yeah, Tim certainly had a double summon in his hand at the start of the match, and I don't know if that was played. He had a Foolish Burial Goods, and double summon. Looks like the Spiral Resort may have been activated here. And Lukas, we know, has the time pendulum graph available to him, so he'll be trying to consider when best to employ that. Now this game, unlike the last, he doesn't have the purple poison, so he doesn't have much opportunity to hit anything other than the Spiral Resort this turn.
What do you think of Lava Golem?
Lava Golem's a very interesting card to see. A lot of decks can't afford to put it in the side because they rely on the normal summon, but Pendulum Magician, not too bothered. Like, they're very happy to have their normal summon for Skullcrobat, but they don't lose all ability to function without it. So you can put in what is sort of like a double kaiju and take out 2 threats at once. Lukas here trying to decide just what he wants to target with his Time Pendulum Graph. He can't hit the Spiral card, Spiral Monster. And of course, now Tough is on the field, Utility Wire is live again. Once on the field, counts as Spiral Super Agent, so we'll be able to chain it. force the time pendulum graph off the field at resolution will resolve that effect, and Lukas has seen enough.
Yes.
He will be forced to a game 3.
So, Tim Cox winning game 2 there. Anything that
another
Twitch
question coming in from Twitch here. Someone's saying they can top regionals, but constantly find themselves at big events losing to things that they often can't control. Today, being cherried 6 out of 6 games, how do you mentally cope with such a thing?
That's a very interesting question. It's always, a lot of it is all about being positive, because if you let it get to you and you go on tilt, because that's a lot of people I know do go on tilt. Don't let yourself go on tilt. If something happens to you, you just have to move on and say, well, that happened. Go on to your next game. You have to keep being in the mind frame that whatever's just affected me in the last game isn't going to affect me in the next.
So for me personally, when it comes to cards like Ghost Reaper, it's a card that can really shut you out of a game, and sometimes that happens. Sometimes it's going to happen to you every single match of the day, and there's nothing you can do about it. But in those situations, you need to consider not just the fact that you've been Ghost Ogred 6 for 6. There's one side that says, was it just variance? Did you just happen to have a bad day? Because everyone has bad days. But on the other side of it, were you thinking about Ghost Ogre all day? Did you put in the time to try and play around that card, or did you play recklessly, and then at the end of the day, rather than properly evaluating the games that you've lost, you just think, oh, I lost to Ghost Reaper every single match, not, oh, maybe I should have played around Ghost Reaper a little better today.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends that basically just resign themselves to the fact that, oh, I always get this. This always happens to me.
They always have Ash Blossom.
It's never always. It's just...
And even if it is, did you try and play around it? Did you work to the strength of your hand and think, what if they have this? What if they have that? How do I put myself in the best position to make an insurance play so that even if they do have a hand trap, I'm not going to be completely out of the game?
And there is the whole thing that if you're always coming up against it, you know you're going to come up against it.
Yeah.
Do something about it.
Everyone's going to be playing Ash Blossom. A lot of the players are going to be playing things like Ghost Reaper. So, the game's underway. I think we have the hands being loaded in.
Skulker Rat Joker's come down. Heading for that search, he needs to check his hand again. Lukas pointed at all the cards in his hand, just to go, scanning.
We see on Tim's side, 2 Super Agents, 2 Terraformings and an Ash Blossom. And we see for Lukas, Black Fang Magician, Psyblocker, an excellent tech choice for this matchup. Wisdom Eye Magician, Skullcrabat Joker, and a trap card. I think it might be the Full Force Virus. So Lukas's side deck has been drawn to full effect here. So he's got the tools that he sided in. Let's see how he puts them into effect for this match. So he'll be able to Pendulum summon 3 monsters here, and use the Harmonizing Magician effect to get an additional monster onto the field. And then the Psyblocker will be able to come down and turn off all instances of Super Agent.
Lukas tapping his Psyblocker and saying, advantage me.
Particularly when we know that 2 of the cards in Tim's hand going into his turn are Super Agent.
Yes.
Naturally, Psyblocker also turning off the effects of Spiral Tough and Spiral Double Helix, both when on the field count as Super Agent.
Yes.
So he sets his Full Force Virus at the end of the turn as well. Presumably he'll make his way into a dark monster from the extra deck. What options does he have available to him? Here we have Supreme King Dragon Dark Rebellion. I think think it's the also Supreme King Dragon Starving Venom. I believe, and Dark Monsters with high defense. They need to have 2,000 or more defense and be a Dark type for Full Force Virus. What's the defense of Purple Poison Magician?
What's up, please?
Thought it was 1800.
Loading it now. Both Poison Magician has 2100 defense.
2100 defense, so that is a target for his Full Force Virus and a piece of removal on top. So he may well wait for the Spiral Resort to come down here. Although the trigger for the effect is only when destroyed, and Full Force would tribute.
I will check.
Well, Full Force will definitely tribute, so it depends what the trigger is on the Full Force Virus. Here we see the virus being flipped. The Purple Poison Magician obviously banished as it was summoned by the effect of Harmonizing Magician. And the Amiga makes its way back to the field, but won't be activated immediately as Baguska is still on the field, waiting for a material to be detached from the Baguska in the standby phase.
Omega is just a ridiculously strong card. It's not even the fact that you get to banish a card from your opponent's hand. It's the fact that, it goes back, which is like, okay, they don't get to use it for a turn, but what makes it even better is you get to see what that card is, so you can play around it for your next turn.
As we've talked about several times now, the information game is very important. So the staff member at the table, Ben there, has just pointed out that in the standby phase, the material has to be detached. What cards does Lukas have in hand at this point? I see a Star Pendulum draft, but I'm not sure what else is there.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Going on the offensive.
Poking with Baguska. What is Baguska's effect when he's in attack mode?
He can't be targeted, I believe.
I think that's it.
So Soul Charge being drawn for turn there. Very good card for Tim.
There's the result.
Interesting that he values the Resort more highly than the Soul Charge, opting to play that first, despite Omega being on the field.
Oh, I still got banished. Oh, it's the Soul Charge.
I'm not sure if in Tim's position he was necessarily correct to favour the Resort, but this does at least leave him in a position where he will be able to use his battle phase this turn, and he should still have access to double Helix.
Well, he's on such low life points that I'm not sure whether a Soul Charge, depending on where he could go with it, I'm not sure how wise a move it is.
Possibly also true. He did only have 2 monsters in the grave, so...
There was 3.
What was the...
I'm pretty sure I saw 3 monster cards when he fanned it.
2 Spiral Super Agents, but I'm not sure what else. There's now the Quick Fix that he's just put into there.
Must have just been 2.
So
I was playing tricks on me.
So So he will... Oh, wow.
Oh.
The guess on the monster from the Spiral Double Helix, revealing instead a trap card. Reveals the Solemn Strike.
Ooh.
So he's not able to resolve that effect.
Lukas going for a handshake at one point there. I'm sure I saw him angle a handshake in for a moment.
Yeah, Luke was under the impression that the whiff on the Spiral Double Helix was going to be the end of this game, but Tim plays on. He's got access to his utility wire. There's a Solemn Scolding to draw for Lukas there.
Nice. I like Solemn Scolding.
Normal summon with the Wisdom Eye to be able to clear out both monsters from Tim's side of the field. Tim draws a Super Agent, which again is taken out by the Full Force Virus.
Ouch. The virus is definitely in full force.
Yeah.
It's
You see just why Lukas has been citing that for this matchup. Spiral Resort searching for the tough.
and there's the handshake. Oof. Wow.
Not entirely sure what happened there.
I don't really know who won.
Was the Solemn not activated on the effect of the Spiral Cup? It looked like he chose not to, and then it was destroyed.
Let's just see. Our thing on there will tell us who won that. Tim won?
So yeah, I saw Tim celebrating, but
yeah, Tim won.
I'm confused as to why the Solemn wasn't used there.
Was there any other set cards on the field?
No, the only back row.
Huh.
So
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit more about that in our post-match discussion. I'm confused.
So we saw what may have been a misplay, or what may have been just a slightly greedy choice not to use the Solemn Scolding on the Spiral Tough there.
Could have been, yeah.
And now the Spiral Tough, sat at 1900 attack, was going to be able to take out the Wisdom Eye Magician. The Baguska would kill itself in the standby phase, and Lukas would be left with just one card on the draw, but I feel like if the Scolding had been activated on the effect of the Tough, that might have played out very differently.
Did he play Soul Charge at all? Or
He hadn't played the Soul Charge that turn.
Right. Huh. Okay. I was just a little bit confused, because all of a sudden Tim was kind of losing, and then all of a sudden Tim just won.
Yes, I think that all came down to the moment when the Solemn Scolding wasn't flipped.
Right.
Naturally, Tim will have guessed Monster on it, and perhaps Lukas had identified that the only way that he was staying in that game was if the guess was wrong, and that he was able to save the Scolding to deal with a potential Soul Charge following up afterwards.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
It may have been a mistake. It may have been that he was trying to play to his outs because he didn't think that he was going to win, even if he did Scolding it.
Fair enough. I mean, it was nice to see Pendulum Magician doing what he does, and we can tell exactly up until this round why Lukas has been XO.
Yeah, absolutely. The side deck cards there seem very powerful, but yet again, we See SPYRAL just showing that you can side deck, you can meta game, you can do whatever you like, but you're just not playing SPYRAL.
Pretty much. Yeah, it all does come down to that. Right, I'm not sure what's going on with the rest of the tournament. I will have a quick check on that. We may be back with an interview. If not, we'll be back with the next round.